for Flabonga Monthrothacube. With Dayle and Tony breaking all the rules. Talking tech, biz, and straight up chaos. Quick fire guests, oh yeah, we slay those.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Flabonga Monthrothacube with me, Tony Stevenson. Today I have a wonderful co-host.
Zoe Lacey Cooper, hello.
A magnificent guest.
Pascar from Sumary.
There we go. Brilliant. So sure a few of you will feel slightly jarred by the fact that it wasn't Dayle that did the intro. Dayle always does the intro.
How
But
do you think they're going to feel about that?
I don't know. We'll find out in the comments, I guess.
No.
I should imagine that there'll be a few comments coming in about where is the big man gone. Or maybe we'll get the real scoop on it. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. But welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Sorry, we are a couple of minutes late. Slight bump around in the background to make sure all the admin was working and we had a go live button to hit, which we do now. And we've got a couple of people dialing in already. Let's say hello to Kirsty. Yay, it's a Zoe special. Yeah. Zoe is comfortably everybody's favourite co-host. So me and Dayle have to play a distant second fiddle and third fiddle to Zoe. So, and it's also nice that Kirsty's made it on time, because what usually happens in the show is Kirsty turns up halfway through and then apologises for being late. So we've told her a number of times she doesn't have to apologise for being late, but yeah, she still does.
This is a day of winning today, Kirsty.
That's absolutely it, isn't it? Absolutely.
What a fantastic day, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. And hello, Mehul. Good to hear from you, buddy. Right, we are going to start. We can start with. I want to say the boring bit. It's not the boring bit. Pascal, for our listeners who aren't familiar with you, what do you do? Who are you?
Do you want me to give you
Tell us a little bit about you. Give us the long version of it. I love the long version.
Let me give you a longer version of my background. So, as I said, my name is Pascar. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Sumary. Sumary is we call it an AI operating system for all accounting work. I'm sure we'll get into the depth of what that is in a second. So I'll just give you a bit of background on myself. My background is probably as far away from accounting as one can get. So I'm an engineer. Started my career at McKinsey. So I have a lot of experience from professional services. Did that for a handful of years. Left McKinsey 10 years ago to start my first company, which is a company called Blazer, which was sort of a company at the intersection between tech and e-commerce. Ran that for the past 10 years out of Copenhagen, Hong Kong, and LA. Was fortunate enough to raise $25 million for it. And I guess we turned over like $50-60 million last year. And almost exactly a year ago, actually, was very lucky to sell the majority of that business. And then basically started working on Sumary at that time.
So no rest for the wicked then?
No.
Any rest?
No rest for the wicked. My wife keeps sort of hammering me for that, but no rest for the wicked.
Amazing. Wow. And in there somewhere, when I was doing my due diligence on your profile, I saw Stanford University. Is that right?
That is right.
Tell us about Stanford, because I'm pretty sure you're our first guest that's been attended Stanford.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah. I did a stint. I did one semester as a visiting graduate student. So I studied something called management science and engineering, which is basically like a bunch of math and statistics and machine learning in supply chains. And they have actually the best program for that. So I applied, was fortunate enough to get in. And I mean, I must say the hype is real. That was a fantastic place. The people that go there, the environment is just, very exciting. And that's probably, I think, what initially sparked my interest in actually entrepreneurship. They really foster like a really cool culture of entrepreneurship. I mean, your professors are from Google, you go on field visits to Meta, Facebook, whatever the case is, right? So generally you're just very excited about, startups, which is probably what sparked my interest in it.
I can imagine it being pretty cool to spend your days like kind of interacting with those people. And then also, I imagine there's plenty of people in the cohort that you attended with that will be lifelong entrepreneur
Yeah.
pals, right?
Yeah.
Smartest people I was ever put in a room with, probably. So I was clearly the least smart of that bunch. But yeah,
Don't give me that. No way.
Did you also notice, Tony, that our guest was also a Forbes 30 under 30?
Oh, I did notice that as well. Yeah, possibly another first for the show. Maybe, I don't know.
That's pretty cool. How did that even happen, Paz?
that's a really good question. Actually, I think you get nominated, and the review is very much a black box process. I actually had no clue until the list. I mean, I had a sense when they basically sent an email asking for a picture the day before or 2 days before, but basically you don't know. So
It's been pretty cruel if they'd asked you for a picture and then not included you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So an OBE or an MBE next, then, Paz?
That'd be it, wouldn't it?
Huh?
Get an OBE or an MBE next. Big honours list from the king, maybe. Maybe that's like the next best thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sir Paz or Lord Paz.
Lord
Paz. It sounds cool, but probably a little bit of a stretch. No, I mean that was really good fun. It's I mean, back then I think it was pretty early in Europe, so it was like, yeah, at least it was very cool. They basically fly everyone out to London and then have a fantastic event with, like, I think a bunch of really cool people, and then I think a few weeks later they flew everyone to Tel Aviv, and we then had like a week, absolutely fantastic week where we like did all sorts of cool things, fantastic speakers. This was back in 2019, must have been, 2019, when it was so fantastic experience.
Work with me here. I've got a question. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, 2.
Oh my God! So your siblings must hate you. Absolutely.
Christmas, a massive thing have you achieved this year, Paz? Great.
Oh my God! Your sibling doing all of what you've done. I'd hate you, I think. Oh, how can you match that? Oh,
they're actually fantastic. They're both medical doctors. My brother just got his PhD, and my sister just graduated. So they're actually both fantastic. So
okay, what do they feed you in Copenhagen? Because I want some of that for the kids.
Yeah.
What do they feed you in Copenhagen? Because I want some of it for my kids.
Yeah, I mean, we actually grew up in the countryside in Denmark. So my parents came to Denmark in the late 80s and settled in like some random suburbs outside of the second largest city called Aarhus. And so we grew up in a very small, very boring suburb.
Love that.
Plenty of time for study, right?
Yeah.
But Copenhagen, because the British always deem Scandinavia or the Nordics as a very, very cool place to go. As you know, I used to run events out in Malmo, so I just love the Scandinavian life. But you obviously you're going to be moving to London, and obviously you lived in London a little bit in the past. But what's the main what's the main things you're going to miss when you move over?
The main things obviously my friends and family here is going to be a big one, but I think the biggest thing is London is a massive city, right? I mean, if you're out west and you have something to do over east, it's like it's almost like a day trip, right? Whereas in Copenhagen, you can literally bike to anything in less than 20 minutes. There's nowhere you need to be that takes you less than 20 minutes to go to, which obviously also means the city is smaller. It's a bit sort of go the same places. There's not as much to explore, but generally, I mean, it's such a small and cozy city. Fantastic food all over, fantastic coffee all over, fantastic restaurants, people, everything is just great. But it is a very small city.
Love that. Sorry, Tony, I'm doing lots of questions. Sorry,
that's fine.
Loads of questions on my mind. You're such an interesting person, Paz.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Noticed in London, I always find it funny for people that live in London that they sort of forget that there's a world outside London. I think because it's so massive, and like whenever you mention sort of anything that happens outside the M25, which is like the halo around London, they're all just like, what?
I mean, the size of London is just, I mean, it's mental.
I go north of London and I get a nosebleed because I live in the south of England. So anyone that goes past London north, I get nosebleeds. That's north for me. Anything north of London is north. That's what it is.
So this might be a fairly obvious question and segue, and then we'll jump into some slightly sillier questions. But so what? Actually, let's rewind a minute. So you left essentially. You said McKinsey, wasn't it?
Yes.
To start your business. Talk us through that period of your life. Like what prompted that directional change, and how did you find the shift between employee and, I guess, founder, CEO, entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. So I think for me, I've always wanted to do something on my own. I figured back then you're going through McKinsey was probably the best way of sort of getting the toolbox and, you know, learning a little bit of stuff to then go and do it. And I mean, the years at McKinsey were fantastic. Quite far away from running a company, I can say. So that shift was very harsh in the sense that I think I was very young. I was 26, coming out a couple of years at McKinsey. Thought sort of we knew everything about how everything was done and so on. And then she got hit really hard by reality. So figured out once we got started, had no clue about most of the things. I was really good at doing PowerPoint and Excel, but no one really cared about that in reality. So it was, I mean, we were 4 co-founders at Blazar. We worked our asses off for the first couple of throughout the entire period, but especially the first couple of years were very intense. Just catching up with how reality works. It was very hard work. Really good fun, but very hard work.
Did you hit any burnout? Amongst the 4 of you, there must have been a level of different journeys between the 4 of you where there was burnout and levels of excitement and up and downs and all that kind of stuff.
I think generally we're lucky that I don't think anyone hit like burnouts. I think there's a couple of the others that had a concussion that ended up dragging out for years because of. I'd be like, when you work a lot and have a concussion, that's a rough one. One of the guys got a bit of stress at some point, but overall we were in pretty good health throughout. But it was a rough couple of years, especially in the beginning.
You were 26. I mean, yes. 26.
Yeah,
you're running a big business. That's quite incredible. What was the biggest learn from when you started at 26, and how were you when you sold it?
So I was 26 when we started, sold at 34, must have been, 34. I mean, the biggest learning, I mean, there are just so many. So we had no clue about how anything was done back then. We had no clue about actually running a business, where to focus your time, how to manage a team, how to hire, how to fire, no clue about it all. So I think I typically, when people ask me sort of the core learnings, I think there's obviously a lot of very tangible things you can point to and say, okay, hey, I didn't know how to be a CEO. I know that now. I didn't know how to set priorities for the rest of the team. I know that now, and so on. But I think the biggest set of learnings is probably the intangible ones, like the sense of how to prioritize what to do, the sense of the gut feeling when you hire someone, sort of, is this a good hire? Is that a good hire? The sense of saying, hey, are we moving in the right direction? Yes or no? The level of urgency you put on the team. So when the team is doing really well and everything's really happy, you got to downplay it a little bit. And the other way around, when the team is not doing so great, you got to sort of be the hype man. How you sort of run a team like that, and I call it the intangibles of being a CEO. I think it's probably the biggest learnings that I bring with me from that into this.
What did?
That's a bit of a vague answer. I hope that was okay.
No, I love that. I love that. I've never had it framed like that before. That's really interesting.
You said e-commerce stuff. Like, what specifically was the business's problem they were solving for?
So the thesis behind Blazar really is their way of tech enabling the building, scaling, and operations of e-commerce businesses.
Okay.
We figured if you start one e-commerce business, that's great. If you start and invest in 35, maybe you get some sort of scale benefit.
Scale, yeah.
Exactly, Tony. So that was exactly the idea and the thesis behind Blazar. I think what proved to be right is, I mean, fortunately, the companies did really well. What proved to be right is that building brands is probably less of a factory kind of thing. I think you can have a lot of stuff run as a factory, but still the brand building side is very sort of intangible. Some of our brands did fantastic, but it wasn't really a scale thing that made it work.
Okay, I guess the brand's the differentiator, right? That's the thing that ultimately, that intangible thing that people buy into. Like, why is it people want to have an iPhone when they know that
Exactly.
Samsung takes better pictures. It's just the brand
Exactly.
bit.
And the
that
thing
binds it.
was, if you go back to the 2010s, there's a lot of people who build brands based on like Facebook and Google marketing, where basically the brand wasn't worth a whole lot. You're just really good at performance marketing.
Yeah.
So it's basically coming out of that trend that we figured, okay, what if you could do that across the board with everything? But yeah.
Nice. So Sumary has obviously not new for you, Paz, because you've run Sumary for many years in other vertical sectors, but Sumary entered the accountancy world. When did you decide to join this lovely accountancy ecosystem? When was that?
We launched Sumary with our pre-seed round last year, which was mid-November. We started building it in the summer last year.
So how are you finding the accountancy world? How's it treating you?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, I genuinely love what we're doing, and I genuinely love the people we're doing it with. We've been very fortunate building alongside some of the largest firms in the world. So we have, I think we work with 7 out of the 10 largest firms in the world across Nordics and UK. And we're also very fortunate working with some much smaller firms, which are like 5-10 people, but are fantastically AI native and really see the big opportunities in it. And I'm genuinely enjoying every bit of it. So I think the accountancy world has treated us and me really well. So I'm having a great time.
Oh, you had a massive lunch in London, and I looked at some of the people on the picture you took, and I was like, "All right, Paz, you know some big things." Honestly, I mean, it takes people a long time to even get those sort of people on the phone, let alone in the room. So, how are you doing this?
Yeah, a lot of them are also customers with us now. So,
And you just came in November. How do you do that?
I mean, I think we took a lot of time to try and understand where the gaps were. I think we invested a lot in actually understanding the work. And I must say, I think the core of what we do is really respecting what accountants do. I think a lot of people are coming into this space young, have never seen anything, guns blazing, saying, "Hey, what you guys are doing is stupid. Let's show you how it's done." I don't want to talk about competition, but I think a lot of people have taken that sort of approach. I think we did something very different, which was basically trying to understand them, figured out, okay, there's actually a lot of respect to be had for this group of people. They're all super analytical, very detail oriented, super hardworking. They've just been left without the proper tools and been caught up in a lot of manual work, which is not necessarily super value-add. So I think we actually tried turning around, saying, okay, how can we take away all of the stuff they don't want to do and try and enable what they want to do? And we invested, and I think that we were very open and transparent about that from the very beginning. And I think that messaging just seemed to resonate really well with our customers. So we also sort of think of it as much more sort of longer-term partnerships. We haven't had one single customer come in the door, leave again. So generally, I think we try and sort of work with our partners more so than anything else.
So what prompted the shift then into Sumary? Like how did you said at the beginning that you were about as far away from accounting as you could possibly have got. Here you are. So like talk us through that transition into
in one sentence it was 10 years of pain and agony. Okay. So we at Blazar, I usually make the joke that we probably were involved in like 1,000 month-end closes, and I don't think we ever got the numbers right.
So this is your moment. Everything you've learned, it's all happening. This is your moment now. This is all coming together, and everything. It sounds like everything you touch turns to gold, and that's due to credit on you working hard and everything else. But what are you bad at? Because everything so far looks like just doing really good. 30 Forbes, all these companies. What are you bad at?
I'm bad at a lot of things. I'm really bad at letting go of things. Like I'm not very good at like turning off or relaxing or not looking at not working. I mean that I'm really, really bad at. I think if you ask my wife how going on vacation with me is, I think she would confirm. I'm bad at a lot of things. I mean, I'm probably also sometimes, what else could I say? Yeah, bad at letting go, bad at turning off for sure. I mean, I'm also not a super creative person. I wish I was, but I'm not super creative. I'm very bad at that.
Everything. You can't be good at everything.
No. I've accepted myself as I am, and then I hadn't learned to live with my shortcomings. So.
Did you? So I know you've recently married. So congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
to married life. You're gonna love it. Yeah,
fantastic so far.
Very, very nice. Has much changed since you got married?
Well, not really. Not really. I mean, it was a fantastic experience getting married. I love my wife very dearly. She is fantastic. So not really. I mean, I've known her for a bunch of years, and I mean, it was a fantastic. We had 3 days in Italy, all of our friends and family, which was a fantastic wedding, best days of my life. But other than that, I'd say, I mean, after that, not much have changed.
And there's a massive come down though, isn't it? Like you've had your honeymoon and your wedding, and now you're back to.
We actually had to skip the honeymoon because of I was so busy that we had to skip the honeymoon. So the comeback was very harsh. We've came back to Copenhagen on a Wednesday, and I started working on Thursday. Massive backlog, so I don't think she saw me for 4 days after that. So.
She must be an incredible woman.
She is very understanding. Very understanding.
I love that.
That is so. Have you managed to find any ways over the years to get better at the switching off bit? Paz?
No, not really. No. I mean, I think most would say that I'm a fairly intense person, and I just when it comes to work, and I just haven't figured out how to turn that off yet.
It feels like a magic thing that you could do.
Is it? I think it's interesting though. Like when you Elon Musk and also like Alex Hormozy sort of say a similar version of the same thing, which is kind of like something along the lines of like if you want to do big things, like you've got to go hard at them. Basically, like you can't kind of like optimize to a nice work-life balance when you're trying to just kind of like get something moving at a fast pace, right? That you've just got to put the hours and yards in and essentially kind of imbalance your life for a period of time such that the balance can come back later. Just sounds like you would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put myself in the same sentence as those guys, obviously, but I fully agree. I mean, I think it's just if you want to build something phenomenal, it just requires exceptional input as well. And,
have you ever met any sort of tech SaaS owners or founders who are actually got a great work-life balance? And I don't think it doesn't exist, does it? Really?
I don't think it exists. No.
I don't think so.
I've never seen it. I've never seen. I mean, I think there are people that end up being really good at sort of, let's say, turning off for short periods of time. But I don't think you can build a great company without running it with a high degree of urgency and a high degree of sort of intensity.
So I work really hard, but I went on holiday to Gran Canaria with the kids, and I locked my phone in the safe, and I checked it once a day. And people can't get their head around how I did that. It's the most easiest thing to do. I check my emails, I check my work, I spend 10 minutes on it, and then I lock it in the locker for the whole day. And people just couldn't work out how to do that. I was like, quite easy.
Yeah, I think that's a great issue. But I guess also with kids, I mean, a lot more responsibility comes along. So you can't be with your kids on vacation and be on your phone all day.
True. Yeah, true. Yes, that's a good answer to that then. I mean,
it's a sort of natural breaker in there, isn't it? Like if you can't. I've got 2 young children, and thus far I'm discovering that there's no way to shortcut like time spent with attention. Like you can't like there's no way to substitute that in their mind. Like my daughter particularly is like very how do I put this? She's she's very like kind of sensitive and sort of on it, and she feels how much effort you put into her, and she'll reward you like directly live with her sort of opinion of you.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know, there was a period of time where I'd had to go away quite a bit with work, and she was really young, and she was just being really difficult with just me specifically. And and she'll know what the thing is, but she won't tell you what the thing is. You have to guess. And then as soon as you get it right, she's like, yeah, that's it. And I guessed a few things, so I was getting a bit fed up with this sort of like this attitude towards me. And then and I said to her, I was like, is it because Daddy's been away a lot? Yes, it is. And I was like, right, now we've got it out. She was like 2 at the time. I was like,
it gets better when they get older, Tony. It gets better when they get older. You'll love it.
I can imagine. Yeah. And then we discussed it for a little bit, and it like we got out in the open and had a little conversation. I was like, I'm not going away because I want to. I'm going away because like I work and I need to do this because work, and you know that means that if I work, you can have toys. And she's like, oh, right, okay, so more things like that.
Yes, my 2 girls, I work full time. I'm the breadwinner as well, and my girls really struggle to understand it. And they're like, "But my friend's mummy's always around," and I'm like, "Yes, but I'm not." It's kind of struggle with it all, but you know what? It's all fun. Tony, can we just make a little note on who's just jumped in to say hello?
Of course we can.
So, Paz, you know I'm a massive fan of you. I'm also a fan of another incredible person called Darren. Do you know Darren Glanville?
No, I don't know who we met.
A tech legend like you. Darren, am I allowed to tell him what your nickname is? We call him Dark Web Darren because he literally just knows everything about the tech. Not in a bad way. He knows all the clever tech stuff in a good way. And he's an incredible human being. So good to see you, Darren.
Oh dear. Well, you're waiting for his response to say whether you could say his name, or you just went for it anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, you didn't wait for a very long time, Zoe, though.
No, I know, but everyone knows that about me anyway.
Exactly. So I'm going to ask one of the show's staple questions, which we ask most of the guests that come on the show, unless Tony forgets. So, Paz, do you drink coffee, tea, or hot chocolate? Which of those is your
coffee? I
thought it might be. So we have like 3 different arms to this question, depending on what the guest chooses. But so imagine we are in a world where your sort of artisan local coffee shops don't exist. There's been an apocalypse, and all that survived the apocalypse were like the 5 big coffee chains, Costa's, Starbucks, yeah. If you had to choose and go to one of the big coffee chains, which one would you choose, and which one would you stay away from?
Oh, I would be devastated. I would probably be like making my coffee at home then with the reserve that I have. If I really had to.
The Danes are really particular with their coffee as well, aren't you? The Danish so particular about their coffee.
I'm very particular around the coffee, and I mean, I do in the mornings, mostly on the weekends when I have time, I do like a V60 pour over myself at home.
I'm going to have to stop you here because me and Dayle recorded a secret episode of FM earlier in this week with a very well-known industry, I'm sure you won't mind me calling him a celebrity, in our space. And he introduced the concept of V60 coffee, which I'd never heard of before. So that's twice in 3 days that V60 coffee.
I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, do explain for our guests, because I'd never heard of it. I'm a bit of a coffee
so V60 is an old school way, it's like old school Japanese way of making coffee. It's basically the same as a filter coffee. So you have, I buy beans from a very particular roaster in Copenhagen. The same roaster actually serves our office with coffee. So basically I sort of grind it, and then you put it in this. It's like where you pour, so you then end up pouring it over it, and then it sort of drips down into a small pitcher. So it is very similar to filter coffee, but it's like manually or hand pouring, which is fantastic. It's the best type of coffee that I can do.
Invite ourselves round for a coffee. There you go.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I like the way that you've just circumvented the question I asked you and just kind of like something else and gone around it. So you have had people conscientiously object to answering the question.
No, but you have to answer. You have to answer.
If I had to answer, I'd probably go to, but I wouldn't have a coffee in any of those places. I would go and get a tea or something else. I'd get a sparkling water from Starbucks.
Starbucks, I'm taking it. Yeah.
Sparkling water from Starbucks, not even a
Yes.
coffee.
Oh,
No.
that's a
No
very
chance
good
of
one.
coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Can I ask a question, Tony?
Of course you can, mate. You go
Can you
nuts.
hold
It's
up your
okay.
coffee cup, Paz? Have you got a coffee cup with you?
No, I don't have a coffee cup with me now.
Oh, I love to see what kind of coffee cups our guests have. Tiny, what have you got today? Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm a massive royalist. As you can see, I've got like a boom china
Oh, that's
royalty
nice.
mug, which I just love. What does your cup normally look like then?
Well, here at the office, I just have the cups that we have at the office. I actually don't know what that is. At home, I have sort of some really cool handcrafted cups, like ceramics that go with the V60 style.
We
It's
are
actually
so
from
inviting ourselves around for coffee.
yes, it's like a lady on a
Copenhagen.
small island in Denmark called Bornholm who like has her own like ceramic shop, and I got them from there.
Love that.
Of
Love
course.
that.
I love it when you hit these little like passion pockets with guests about things,
Yes.
and so often it sits around like coffee or food or these kind of things. So
You hit mine spot on there. Coffee, food, and wine would probably be mine.
there we go. There we go. So I'm doing my best to like not let my inner nerd take over and want to just grill you for about the rest of the show on exactly what Sumary does and like the problem you're solving for and like your thoughts on AI and the future of the profession and that sort of stuff. And I think I've done quite well to get half an hour through without launching into that thread of conversation. But we've got to go now because otherwise we're not going to get enough time to discuss it. So
Let's do it.
talk us through like the problem you're solving for, what Sumary does, and then I want to get into the AI bit and the future and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just go nuts, mate.
So let me give you a couple of minutes pitch so that you know exactly what we do. As I said, we're building what we call an AI operating system for all accounting work. We want to be the go-to partner for accounting firms, Office of the CFO, when it comes to bringing the best of AI into their work.
And that is specifically the accounting work, as in like the transactional, like this is governed by, you know, like the accounting standards and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So you think of everything from management accounting, so bookkeeping, controlling, insight reporting, through VAT and tax, through year-end prep. So basically everything that sits around audit. We don't touch audit, but everything that sits around audit.
Okay.
That's really what you think about. The product as it is today, sort of structured along 4 verticals. And let me just very quickly talk you through each of them. And then I'm sure you will sort of have a very clear view of what it is that we do. So number 1 is, we call it data integrity and anomaly detection. So it's basically a set of AI agents and machine learning algorithms that run through every line item of every invoice that ever hits your client books, checks them for VAT, tax, and compliance mistakes, for booking consistency mistakes, and for pricing mistakes. So think of it as a second pair of eyes that checks everything that ever hits the books.
Okay.
That's the first thing you can do. Second vertical of the product is called AI agents and workflows. So these are basically AI agents that you can deploy as an accounting firm or CFO alongside your team members to do all the repeat work that needs to be done weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually, whatever the case may be, inside set workflows. Set workflows could be a month-end close, could be a VAT return, could be a year-end prep, whatever the case may be. The point of these agents is basically they can go out, do the manual work, and then the human, instead of doing the work, instead of pasting everything into a workbook, they basically review what the agents have done. That's basically number 2. Product number 3 is what we call our advanced reasoning, which is basically the brain behind the product. It's probably the piece of engineering that we're the most proud of. We have a team of 3 PhDs who's basically spent a couple of months building this, so we're very proud of it. We typically call it the most comprehensive AI there is in accounting. So it's basically an AI that understands the link from your P&L to your balance sheet to your cash flow, understands the link from there all the way down to the line item it reads on an invoice. It understands your subledgers, so customers, suppliers, open items, VAT, tax, whatever the case may be, and it understands entity structures. And it can basically reason across all of these links. And the way I typically introduce it actually is by making a bet. So I typically say, if there's any analysis you or your team have spent more than 2 hours on in recent time, I will bet you lunch anywhere in London that you could solve it in Sumary in less than 15 minutes.
That's how we did it, Zoe. That's how we got them around the table.
In a year, I still haven't lost that bet, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's the third product. Fourth product is, we call it reporting and consolidation. So it's basically a place where you can run your consolidations across entities, FX, eliminations, etc., end to end with an AI, and then have a beautiful 5, 10, 15 page management report created in a PDF for you just by our agents. So basically without touching your keyboard.
Wow.
So those are the
summarize everything in a strap line because you do so much.
We say AI operating system for accounting work.
There you go. There you are.
That's the one liner.
Thinking. Stroking the beard, you're thinking.
Yeah. Just there's just different ways of go like different questions I could ask. Yeah. And that is so you predominantly working with you said the larger firms, but and also some smaller firms as well. So how does the difference sit with the two of them? Are there different bits they use depending on the size of the firm, or?
No, I mean, I think there are different bits they use. So like if you take a big firm, we also, when you in the second part of the product, which was workflows and agents, one of the big features that they really enjoy is like they can define agents in one place and then disseminate throughout all of their organizations. So they can make sure stuff like deferrals, accruals, prepayments are treated the same way where they want it to be treated that way. So like the standardization of work in a big PE-owned company is very big, whereas in the smaller firms, I mean, they don't care so much about that, right? This is like one example.
Mm.
But generally, I think, I mean, our product, the benefit of our product is that as you said, so it's very broad. It does a lot of things, but the more you do in it, the more context is inside of it, and the better it actually becomes. So if you only use the data integrity, obviously that's one thing. But if you use the data integrity and the AI and the workflows, they basically inform each other, and it just becomes compounding benefits.
Super powerful.
So Tony, Kaz and I only recently met. When did we met? When did we start talking?
It was I actually remember very clearly. I was trying to get a ticket to one of your events in March, and I was too late, and I was really sort of trying to say, hey, is there anything I can do? And you said no.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm up about, mate. That's it. There's a guest list, and if you ain't on it, you ain't on it.
Yeah, sorry. And I can tell you, Tony, I wasn't on it.
I was very friendly about it.
I was not on that list.
And I think what I really, really enjoy is just the fact that you've done many different vertical sectors before in the past. But what I really find interesting is when someone like you comes along with such something, quite an impactful piece of technology. This is the one, Tony, where I think we're just going to both sit back and really enjoy where this one goes. Because sometimes you just get something into the accountancy ecosystem, and it's just sometimes nice just to sit back and just go, ooh, okay, this is going to be interesting. So
you're way too kind.
I personally think that Zoe and I have both been involved in this space for a while. So I spent the first 10 years of my career in practice kind of bouncing around, not really ever finding my spiritual home. Similar to you, I trained with Deloitte in the tax team, so that sort of big corporate grounding to not take the same direction change that you did straight afterwards, but no small amount of jealousy in there because that would have been a very cool ride. And then I did a couple of other roles in industry and bits and pieces, and then ended up in the tech world about 10 or 11 years ago, a couple of years at Xero, and been at free agent now for a while, 8 years or so. And I think that there's some incredibly talented, knowledgeable, impressive people in our space. But I think that our space, the accounting technology intersection, but particularly the accounting side, benefits a lot from having people that come into our space that aren't backgrounded in it, because and when they hit it right, it really does help to kind of expand because it can be a bit of an echo chamber, our world, and the same sort of people saying the same things about the same things. So it's always really nice and refreshing when we get folks that come in with a new perspective from the outside that have not been involved in it for the last 10, 15, 20 years and can tackle it from a different angle. So I think it's just about
I think in general it's just about a fresh set of eyes. I mean, again, we're not trying to. I mean, yeah, I think it's just sometimes it's just healthy to look at things with a fresh set of eyes, and never having done it before, it just gets you thinking, why is it done this way? Whereas if
But
you've
it
done
wasn't.
it that way the past 20 years, that's what your default.
It's not always been like that, Paz. I mean, I would say even 5-10 years ago, anyone who wasn't in the accounting world was just not allowed in, wasn't it, Tony? If you didn't, if you
certainly had to, you had to. It was difficult. Yeah,
it was hard. But now I think you see a lot of the top 300 firms, they're recruiting from a tech level. They're recruiting. Their strategies to recruit people who aren't accountants, who aren't from the accountancy industry, not even professional services, because they need that different angle for the firms to grow and develop. So it's a bit of a shift. It's an interesting one. And it's working well.
How do you see firms adopting AI? Like, obviously, they subscribe to Sumary and it's there for them. But like, how do you see them adopting it practically at scale in the future years as things roll forward? And where do you see the things that we're excited about at the moment that actually are a bit thin and don't serve a great deal of practical purpose for the profession?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I mean, I think the long-term role of the accountant is probably more important than it ever has been. I mean, I think the world is moving at a pace we've probably never seen before. I mean, there's new trade wars breaking out every other week at the moment. There is things happen. I mean, the speed of which you got to be able to change stuff now and understand impact has never been greater than it is right now. I think the difference between accountants that get how to work with AI and the ones that don't, I think that let me actually say the difference between people who get how to work with tech versus don't, that difference is just going to grow and grow and grow. And I think that gap is going to be hard to close unless people get onto AI within the next couple of years. Which I think is very important. But I think the most important thing AI is going to enable is the heavy lifting, the boring work, the non-value add reconciliations, whatever the case may be. I think that's just going to go away. If that goes away, the biggest differentiator as an accountant becomes the advisory bit. It becomes sort of the AI basically becomes a hygiene thing that someone else helps you with, and then the differentiator becomes the advisory bit. So I think that bit, working with clients, is going to be more important than ever before, and I think that's where the best accountants is probably going to spend most of their time in the future.
Very interesting. As we wend towards,
what do you think? Do you think that's completely off, or
no, not at all? Like, I think that's very very accurate. I think there's it's interesting for me how we get to the place where like the data is good enough for AI to do what it clearly is capable of doing if it's got the right underlying kind of source data. And I still think there's a bit of work for the banks to do to kind of bring that stuff together so that it is more meaningful and more standardized. I think you will be well familiar with this because it's Europe's ahead of mainland Europe is ahead of Britain in this sense, but the e-invoicing movement of standardizing things on the PEPL network, I think, will go some way towards kind of plugging some of that gap, right? And you're not just going to get nonsense codes of strings of text and number and stuff that doesn't mean anything. And I think, to me, that's always seemed like the sort of source of the river, and we'd probably be a lot further forward with this now if that could have been agreed upon and standardized from the beginning. And I appreciate what I'm saying is very lay, and that, like, it isn't that simple. I know that, but yeah, it's fascinating and interesting how this stuff proliferates into the future, and what the profession will find to do that it hasn't been able to do before, because I think it's always been stuck on having to do a lot of work that I want to say it's not value add, because it is, because you need the numbers to be right in the first place, but the machines could have done
100%. I just think there's so much. I mean, if you go, I mean, all you need to do is spend 10 minutes with a couple of clients of accounting firms to understand how little they actually understand their own numbers. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think most companies don't understand their own numbers, right? So I think there's a lot of work that accountants don't do today that would be massively value add. And I think if you ask a client whether an accounting firm has spent 2 hours reconciling a balance sheet or whether there's been 2 hours with them advising on their numbers, I don't think you find anyone who'd rather pay for the first than the latter, right? And I don't think a lot of are spending sufficient amount of time, at least in terms of what they want to do, on the latter.
So what is interesting, I think, is how the profession adjusts to that from a personnel perspective, because like you automatically trend towards, like if you took the population of like accountants and bookkeepers, and you look at the work, you would match the personality types and sort of profiles to the work that was needed done.
Yes.
And from experience, sitting with a team of accountants and bookkeepers, not every single one of them is comfortable having those conversations. In fact, a lot of them steer well away from them. They're like, I like to cast that spreadsheet and find that missing pound, and I'm really good at managing the data side of things. The idea of being sat with Paz in a room with a P&L in front of me saying, like, this bit of Blazer has gone wrong and this bit of Blazer is going really, really well, so we should double down on that, and we should and here's why it's gone wrong, fills them with absolute dread, because that's just not what they do. So there's some then evolution there in terms of the personnel and the people behind that to catch up with the love of work, right?
I think that's spot on. That's exactly how I see the world as well.
Interesting.
So people in the chat, I don't know if you've seen them.
No, I've moved off that screen.
Emma Slack's quite interested. The website, Emma, is www.sumary.com. Is that right, Paz?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Looks like you've got a fan as well. Lovely.
Hi, Emma, as well. I think you might be new to the show in terms of first-time commenter, so hope you've been
lovely to hear from you. So, Paz, what's the smallest accountancy size firm that you would actually ideally like to work with, considering the cost versus the benefit?
I mean, the smallest firms that we work with would be a couple of people. I think there's 5-10 people. I think across the board what we do, I don't think there's a size limit when it starts making sense. I think the product is actually at a level now where it makes sense. I think across the board, as long as you do a VAT return, as long as you do a year end, as long as you do all of these things, I think there's massive benefits to have had from our product. To be very transparent.
As we wend towards the end of the top of the hour, there's a couple bits. So I am just going to take a moment to say a quick hello from our sponsors, Nomad Flow. So we have a sponsor of the show, which is great. Hello, Lee, if you're listening. Buddy.
Hello, Lee.
So Nomad Flow, Lee Stallard is behind Nomad Flow. Nomad Flow help software vendors to close the activation gap, and that is essentially so your users are using your software, but they're not using it to the fullest. Like, how can we help with that process? So Lee is industry veteran, and we love having him as a sponsor of the show. So check out Nomad Flow if you're in that space and want that type of advice.
He bridges the gap, and you might relate to this, Paz, between selling and the integration, which are very far apart right now. And Lee just answers that question. He's just exceptional at it. So
He's very good. He's very good.
Fantastic.
He's a good guy to know, actually. Like, he's somebody you'd have a very interesting conversation with, I'm sure. Then I'm thinking that we're 10 minutes from the end, so I'm going to run with the quickfire questions if you're all right with that. So I don't think Zoe needs to put herself on mute like Dayle does at this point, because he can't help himself but jump in with the questions. But we have a list of these questions.
He says rude, inappropriate things, and
he does. He always says rude, inappropriate things. That's kind of why we love him, right? So. I feel bad I haven't done any of Dale's questions today, actually. So you might have got off lightly, Paz. We'll have to have you back on in a few months' time, and then Dayle can answer his questions himself, because he's very disappointed about missing today's show. So I'm going to ask you about 10 questions from my list, and there'll be a random selection. So if you're ready, we'll get straight into it.
Let's go for it.
What is one skill you wish you had, but you don't?
staying in what we've talked about today, shutting off.
Shutting off. Okay. The favorite country that you've ever visited?
Zimbabwe. That's where I propose to my wife now.
Oh,
Very
I
cool.
love that.
Do you know what? Actually, I think the favorite country I've ever visited is also where I proposed to my wife, but not Zimbabwe. So that was Nepal. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is French food.
French food. Okay.
Mm.
Most. This is not fair. I'm not asking that question. What's your unpopular opinion? What is something that you think that winds people up or goes against the grain?
My unpopular opinion. I mean, I probably have a lot of unpopular opinion, but unpopular opinion.
That's a really hard question to put on the spot. That's not a quick fire round question, is it?
No,
People either know instantly what it is or they can't answer it. Yeah.
No, I don't know either.
Oh, okay, so I can do one that's fine. I think red meat is healthy.
Okay.
I agree with that though.
Interesting. Who are your celebrity lookalikes?
My celebrity lookalikes.
Yeah. So who do you say? Do people go? You remind me of.
That is a fantastic question. I would have no idea whatsoever.
This is funny because I have a list of people that people have said that I.
Oh, you do, Tony. You come up a lot. Always.
Yeah. And they range wildly from Wayne Rooney, the footballer, John Terry, the footballer. Weirdly, the guy in the chip shop that we used to go to, where we used to live, he was convinced that I looked just like Ryan Reynolds, and my wife really likes Ryan Reynolds, and she's fuming about this, absolutely fuming. Danny Dyer as well, like Zoe will know who that is, but yeah,
that's
like
a
my sister is
list.
like, yeah. What's the other ones? The main one that I've had the most was Heath Ledger. That was the one I've had the most. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Ollie Murs, the singer as well.
Yeah. No, I've had that one on you before actually.
Tons.
It's a great list. I haven't had that. I guess my slightly exotic look would make it a bit. So.
Oh dear, we just had a good one. Dayle Rodriguez. Oh,
No,
hold on. Look who's dialed in. You need the collar, DG.
Yeah, he does actually.
What a fascinating show to watch. I don't think that's not a programmed AI comment, is it?
Do you think it is?
Very good. We got so waylaid off the quickfires. Right, back to the quickfires. What is your most used AI tool?
Claude Code.
I thought it might be. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
The highest bungee jump in APAC.
Pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to cook something, like what's your special, like your special dish? If you were like, you've got to cook the most impressive thing that you cook.
My for sure would be it would be two dishes. The first one would be a scallop dish with like burned salad and like a beurre blanc sauce, and my main dish would be a big piece of red meat, probably with like a fresh French bistro like salad.
Stop! It's lunchtime. I'm really hungry. Oh my god. Oh, right.
Good answer. Final question. Who should we have on the show? Who would you like to see us interview?
I think there is a lot of. I think what would be really interesting is like there's a lot of accounting people who really sort of who really have figured out a cool way of working with AI, or who really get sort of where it's going. And I think one of them could be really cool. I can recommend Bobby Lane. I think he's fantastic.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Bobby, yeah.
You know Bobby, don't you?
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He really has a clear vision of where he's going with his firm, but also where AI is headed in accounting.
Interesting. Okay.
Wicked. Yeah. But you know what? We haven't really got into the interviewing the high ups in the accounting side of the profession yet much. So some, but not much. So yeah, I think that's quite an interesting avenue. So excellent.
He's really cool. Great perspective.
So 2 things before we finish up, or 3 things. The first one is, so just in terms of summary, is there any asks of our listeners? I think I saw in your profile that you're hiring for a team. Is that right? Like anything that folks can do other than go check you out and become customers, right? Anything else? Any other asks?
I mean, go check us out, become customers. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be very happy to jump on a call, even if you just want to talk about where AI is headed in accounting. That's one of my favorite topics to discuss. So hit me up. I think that's we're always looking for great people to talk to.
Cool. And Zoe, any questions for Paz before we ask us to ask any questions you want to ask us?
I won't lie, I actually really enjoyed this one. Really enjoyed it. I just think it's just, again, as I said, it's going to be an absolute pleasure just watching Sumary and you, Paz, just
Thank
to
you.
the point where you'll be so famous and rich, you won't have enough time to talk to me and tell me anymore.
So
anytime. Be fantastic.
Any questions you want to ask us before we close out?
I think you've done a fantastic job. This is really a pleasure to be part of. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Dayle, we missed you.
Dayle, we missed you. D-Rod, we missed you, but I hope you're having fun.
Wicked. Right. It's been an
Thank you so
absolute
much.
pleasure, Paz. I'm going to call time now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paz.
Bye-bye.
Boom. He's gone.
We're
still live. Hold on. We are still live. Why are we still live? Why can't I?
Paz is gone. I'm still